Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C-Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 96 of Beer and Other Shit Podcast Adjunct series. We are back, and we have a super great podcast, as always, this evening, folks. This is a pretty new brewery, a pandemic brewery that only opened within the last couple of years. I've heard a bunch about these guys from some of our fantastic audience on Instagram, so I've been really looking forward to this chat. I'm really glad we connected, so I'm going to bring him right on in. Please welcome Kyle from Turkey Shoot Brewing in the building. There we go. How you doing, man? Oh, you know what? I had you muted. Shit, my bad. There we go. You good? I always forget.
Am I muted still?
No, you're good now. I couldn't even hear you. Good, man. Thank you for hanging up, bro. Really great to meet you, and looking forward to getting into all this, bro. So we're gonna get started. Obviously, we were just talking before. Been a long week, so it's time. We are going to kick off with this bad boy here, Laget Ale, Lake Simcoe. Mate, tell us about this one, dude.
Yeah, this is our flagship. So
nice.
This beer went through a ton of different iterations. The first beer, one of the first two beers I brewed in the basement where this all began.
Nice.
So inspired by a classic Kolsch style recipe. And it went through, like I said, it evolved into what it is now, and it's just a super clean, crushable lagered ale with Ontario hops.
Love it. What are the hops in this one?
We first started with Hallertau, but sadly the grower we used had a really bad year, so they couldn't make a ton of the Hallertau we were using.
Okay.
And there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Logo out.
Oh yeah, I got the logo. I got the official glass after. Okay, so no Hallertau on this one. What did you move on to?
Yeah, so we had Hallertau to start, but because the grow wasn't there, and there's not a lot of growers that have that hop available in Ontario, we had to go with Mount Hood, which is still a great stuff. Gives all the same notes that you'd hope from those hops. So we always use Ontario hops, so it's tough for us sometimes to find what we need, and when something runs out, we have to make that transition. And we were really lucky that the same grower had something as a sub, so we're happy to use them. Mm-hmm.
All right, love it. Well, first of all, man, great to see you. Cheers. Get in here. Solid. Yeah, so it's like I guess you'd consider it like a Kolsch. It's like a Kolsch style lagered ale.
Yeah.
First beer of the night. Inspired by. Okay. Usually when I have the first beer of the night, I often find that my palate just needs a little bit of adjusting it. I like immediately it either tastes like sweet or bitter. I know that's not really what it is. So do you want to maybe talk us through some of the flavor profiles here that we're getting?
Yeah, so like it's got a little, like, everyone always compares it to a lug tread, but it's not as like grassy as I'd say lug tread is. And it's got like those it's a little bit more malt than some of these lagers you'd get, I think.
Okay.
And we try to lean into always having a little bit of hop character because we're using Ontario hops. We want them to shine through, so we always make sure to add like just enough to kind of get a little bit of hop character, not too much to obviously take over the style, but I think it works out. It's balanced, it's crisp, and people really like this one as a go-to kind of crusher.
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit of that grassiness and the bitterness there, but like, you're right. It's not like anything over the top. 4.8, so it's like a little on the lighter side, which makes it that much more crushable and refreshing. It's hella refreshing. The head is beautiful too, like a nice real foamy head.
It's nice.
Yeah, man, this goes down great. This being your flagship, so was that your flagship because that's what you started with, or was it just like one of the most popular?
So we knew going into where we're located now, Georgina, which I'm sure we'll touch on. It was primarily demographic we thought was going to be a lager town, so we knew that we needed to have something that was easy drinking. The first beer that actually started this company was called the Pefferlaw Pale Ale. Sadly, that's still cooking right now, so I couldn't send you one of those, but that's the OG. That's like the golden child, we call it, and that was the first can we ever did. But we knew we needed a lager, and we were super uncertain about kind of COVID and everything, so having a lager and then pushing toward the LCBO was where we started, which is really always thought a bit of an unorthodox start for a brewery like us. but we just didn't really know what to expect, and new to a brick and mortar opening in a pandemic, we thought let's push something to the LCBO to start getting our name out there so that when we finally do land and we can open doors, people might actually know who we are.
Yeah.
And
smart.
yeah, we got in the LCBO in June, and we've been rocking the LCBO. So it's doing really well.
Amazing.
It's all over the.
Okay, I definitely want to touch more on that as we go along, because that is a big look. I certainly agree that it's definitely the move to sort of get something up, one product, even if it's not as profitable as it would have been, just for that brand recognition. So love that, bro.
Yeah.
Let's take it back to the beginning, man. How did you personally get into beer and brewing, and how did that lead to the brewery itself?
So I've always been a beer guy. Obviously, I've always loved crushing a good beer. But when I was living in BC, I was a forest technician, and that was kind of my career. I had kind of a career-changing injury. I blew my knee out, and with that, I couldn't really continue that career because I worked in the bush as a forest technician. I walked for a living, so with no ACL, it was really tough for me to continue. There was a brewery that opened up kind of right as that was happening, and they were friends of mine. I worked with one of the guys at the Boston Pizza he managed, and he started this venture. I watched them build this from the ground up and build this community around their beer and their brand, and it was just something to just kind of see. I'd never seen it actually unfold like that, and the scene was kind of still new to me, so I wasn't really huge on craft. I obviously enjoyed it, but I didn't know that everybody was like so latched onto it. So watching them build it and coming home to live with Jacqueline, it was like, let's do this. And we started kind of like poking around once I moved back from BC. What do you want to do this? And Jack's like, yeah, let's try it. So I just kind of picked up a book and started teaching myself how to brew a couple of years ago.
Nice. And did you like find yourself sort of like, was it easy for you to brew? Like, did that just come naturally?
At first, like, I don't think anybody that starts as a home brewer ever has a good first couple batches. I was fortunate I did a few that were kind of duds, and then I handed those beers to some friends, and it started getting better reactions, and people started saying like, hey, you might be onto something. The beers are actually coming out, and I started diving really deep. When I get into something, I get into it so deep. So I just started reading and watching videos and like hours and hours and hours of just reading and watching people do their own thing, picking up these little hints, and then just kind of throwing that at my style, which was take a classic and give it my own flair with Ontario hops. Obviously, you'll hear me beat that to death tonight, but that's one thing we really pride ourselves on. I'm an Ontario kid and just like support local through and through. So to be able to be a small brewery and have a big voice with using only Ontario grown product is it's something I'll always take pride in. So.
Oh yeah, I love that, bro. The six. So when did you? As far as like the timeline? When did you start homebrew? When you talked to your wife? When was that?
Yeah, so I moved back from BC in probably June 2019, and I had no brewing experience. I picked up a job with a canning company, working as a mobile canning operator.
You were telling me
and in that time, that was about, I think, September 3rd, if it's in my mind right. That was the first brew day I ever had. It was September 3rd, 2019. I just watched a bunch of videos. I got a kit from Toronto Brewing.
Nice.
And I got some hops from just somebody that, I think it was Heritage Hops. One of the guys at Heritage Hops had some leftover Racow, so I threw that on top of the base recipe and a little sprinkle of some extra grains just to make it my own, and that was what made the Peffy, I guess. That was Pefferlaw Pale Ale. So I brewed every single weekend from that weekend on for a year and a half straight. Wow. I don't think I missed a single weekend, and if I did, it was me brewing on like a Thursday night after work.
Right, that's amazing. Okay, so this is like that's like 2.5 years, really.
Yeah, so we've been building Turkey Shoot for 2.5 years. It started in the basement of our Etobicoke rental. Mm-hmm. We just had like a really sweet all cement floor down in the basement that we weren't using, and like kind of a floor drain right beside a wash basin. So I would just set my little Brewzilla up right beside that. I'd go in and I'd just kind of brew, and every weekend I'd have the TV, and it kind of developed into just being a basement brewery. Like we'd have buddies over, and then our other business partner would come. He'd help me brew and develop the recipes, and we just kind of kept going and pushing every weekend to build our recipes up.
Amazing. So when did the actual brewery open then? Was it last
year?
So
we've been open, we're coming on our first year actually. So we're 1 year as of April 26th. It was the
Okay.
first day that we opened our doors for people to come and pick up their pre-ordered stuff through the door as we handed it to them in a bag with our masks on and gloves.
That's crazy.
Curbside pickup.
Yeah, right? Yeah, man, I forgot about that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So you essentially then only had to homebrew for a year and a half till it got to the point. And obviously, like, how soon into this did you realize that, like you were saying that, you know, the response was getting better and better from your friends. Like, how long until you were like, oh no, like, we're doing this? Like, when was that timeline?
That's such a good question, because that's such a hard, like, such a hard moment to recall, because building up to it, right? You start building that passion, you start seeing, and especially being at the other breweries canning for other, like, businesses and seeing what they had, it was like, wow, like, this would be something cool to build. And, like, I got no career now, let's try to do something different. And then I would say probably after, like, the third or fourth brew that we really got good reception from, I was like, Jax, like, do you trust me? That was the first question. Do you trust me? And then she said, yeah. And I said, well, let's dive into this and, like, really push this.
Right.
And we started doing it. And I think it was about 8 or 9 months later, we did our first contract batch with Cayman Kettle, or maybe a year. I don't know my time, but the wife, she'd kill me if I got this wrong. But we did our first batch. It was Pefferlaw Pale Ale. We did it with Cayman Kettle. They did a great job, and it was contract. And we just sold it just out of restaurants because that was all we could do. We didn't have a brick and mortar. And then a few months later in November, 6 months later in November, we opened, or we took the keys to the building, and then it took us until April to get the building operational. And now we're here pumping and got a little brick and mortar, and it's been a fast turnaround, man. It's kind of been like we put it in full throttle, and we kind of put a brick on the pedal, you know.
Wow. Honestly, man, like, I've probably done 350 podcasts. I've never heard any time to turn around that fast at all. So that means you were home brewing for just over a year for when you got the keys to a profession, like a brick and mortar facility. Yeah. And even probably
about that, because it was
September through September through November, so it's like 14 months. And then, like what you said, about 6 months before then, or whatever it was, that you were doing the contracting. Yeah, that's crazy. That's
it was a lot. It was kind of fast turnaround. Like I said, I was fortunate. I was very fortunate to be kind of thrown right into the industry with the canning job, because not only did I have, like, the passion and the want to know more about it, but I was immersed in, like, I was literally packaging people's product and seeing, like, how they were doing it. And I asked a shitload of questions. I probably drove so many brewers crazy. I'll tell you, obviously, we'll talk about the collab later, but I just asked a lot of questions because I just was so curious. Like, how'd you do that? Why are you doing that? Like, how'd you get that to work?
And they were cool. They were, like, happy to.
Yeah, no, this industry is known for that, right? Like, there's no one you couldn't shoot a message on Instagram or Facebook and just be like, hey, like, I'm really struggling with this. Like, what do I do to fix this issue? And there's quite a few people that I could right now just shoot a message to, and they would respond, if not today, tomorrow, and they'd say, hey, like, this is how you do it.
Right. Okay. Amazing. What was there like a sense of urgency or something that you had that made you want to move so fast? Like, just because it's so unusual that you're the brewer at the brick and mortar, right? You're still yeah. So it started with myself, a university friend of mine, his name's Brennan, and my wife. Brennan and I did a lot of the recipe development, and as soon as we kind of did the contract and found a spot, we didn't know the pandemic was coming, obviously. So at the time, it seemed like really, like, we kind of want to find a spot before the spot we're looking for gets scooped up, and then someone's kind of hitting the nail on the head, you know? So funny enough, which we kind of skipped over because it's a part of the story too, but we first tried to buy a diner in Huron County, which is like 3.5 hours west of us. Okay.
Where I have family and friends. That fizzled completely, and that kind of developed the name Turkey Shoot. So Turkey Shoot is defined as like a sure shot thing. You're never going to fail. Taking advantage of it. But opening a brewery is absolutely nothing like that. And the first venture that we had was right beside a giant turkey farm. So we just like, that was kind of how it all developed. We kept the name to keep us kind of humble and remember like, this is a grind and it will be a grind from this day until the day we finally sell out, which we won't do. But I mean, you know, it's never going to end. So it's always going to be that grind. And I know anyone that's opened a brewery can probably attest to that, especially during the pandemic. So.
Oh yeah, which is crazy. I guess that adds another layer to it though. Like the fact that it was like late 2019 when you started brewing and then you were able to, probably it would have timed out like probably just when the pandemic started you did the contract. Is that right? Have I got the timing right?
Yeah. Again, I'm trying to figure out all the exact times. I should have written down, but yeah, it was basically first lockdown we launched the Peffy.
Okay.
Pretty much like a week before we got it like packaged. The second lockdown was when we launched the Lake Simcoe, which was in January, just before we opened just before we kind of opened, because we had the keys in November. We got this one contracted in January, and then it hit the stores and everything opened up in April, and that's when we started doing kind of the contract stuff, the sales out the door. And then once we were able to actually have people in, we kind of rolled in through. That's kind of the timeline right there. Right.
It's just okay, amazing. I'm sure I'll keep coming back to it because it's just so fascinating to me, man. That like you, and so in an amazing way that you and your missus believed in yourself so much and what you were going to do that you. I mean, obviously, you know, opening a brewery, a brick and mortar brewery is not a cheap endeavor. So it's, you know, you really have to believe.
God. Everything costs a lot here in this industry.
Yeah, it's one of the most capital heavy things, right? It's crazy.
No, and luckily I'm handy enough that we definitely saved in that respect. And I think anyone who has a DIY style brewery like ours, like half the stuff, some of the brewers who have fancy equipment would come and look at my spot and be like, what the fuck? They'd be like, holy cow, look at this shoddy spot. But we still make beer, and it's just, I know how to fix shit. So it's saved us a lot. And in this, like if you look at the brewery, you ever came to the brewery, I'd love to have you, obviously.
For sure.
Everything that's in there is made by me and my wife from refurbished wood, pallets, pieces of logs, everything. It's all super like cozy and refurbished because that's just how I've always built stuff. Right. And obviously when lumber went 230% up, we couldn't really afford to build a nice patio. So even our beer garden is lined with all pallets, and we call it the TSBC beer garden. I grew my vegetables in it.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so then you got the keys in November and you opened, so November 2020, and then you opened for people to come through. I forgot the timeline there. It's like a matter of months.
So later. A year, April. Yeah. We opened the doors April 26th of 2021.
Okay, so you're coming up on the first
year.
Yeah,
so we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary on the 26th.
On the 26th. And when you opened... That's amazing, man. You had so by the time you opened, you had 2 beers contracted, which were this one and the Pale Ale.
And the Pale Ale. The Pale Ale only contracted because we thought that'd be the beer that would fly, and then we realized right away the lager was the one, so that's why we skipped over to the lager, and now I brew the Peffy in-house, and the only beer that we contract is the lager, just because we're in the LCBO and we just could never keep up. Yeah, gotcha. I only brew 250 at a time, so I'm very small. I'm micro.
Gotcha. Which is fun though. Like, yeah, I mean that explains the, you know, you got the bottles. It's a handwritten labels, which I was like, man, I haven't seen something like that in a while, and I think that's like brings it back to the essence of what this is all about. Like, you know, making this.
Yeah, we hand label a lot of stuff.
I'm sure that takes fucking forever, but I really appreciate that. Okay, sick. So the area you're in, you mentioned Georgina. Where is that in specific?
So Georgina's just 50 minutes north of Toronto.
That's it.
We're right on the shores of Lake Simcoe, and obviously if people have ever seen the can is done by a local artist in a beautiful kind of a play on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you look closely, right above Keswick, there's a little pack of turkeys.
Yeah.
And if you look throughout the can, the funny thing is that no one really knows, and we haven't really told a lot of people, but there's a lot of other breweries on this can. So if you look around, there's a bunch of other breweries. So there's Market Brewing's in there. We've got Old Flame, Flying Monkeys. I'll let you search for the rest of them. But there's about 5 or 6 breweries on there that we've put in as little Easter eggs, just kind of for fun, and they're in the
That's
area,
sick.
so I thought it'd be kind of cool to add a little secret hidden search on the can.
That's cool, man. I love that. Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know. I haven't heard of Georgina. I mean, look, I haven't lived in Ontario for a bit, but that's great. So I imagine you're probably one of the only brewery in town, or
Yeah, we're the only
the only
brewery.
brewery in town.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that decision came from Jacqueline. So Jacqueline was born and raised here.
Okay.
Once the whole venture in Grand Bend kind of crashed and burned, we needed a new spot, and she threw out this area. I did a little bit of research for a couple weeks because I was kind of obviously torn. I was a little sour that my area that I had thought would be kind of a smash hit fell through, and that's where my folks live, so it would have been kind of cool. But she suggested this, and as soon as I started looking at it with the boom that's happening here and the lack of brewery and lack of kind of just this atmosphere that we've created, it was 100% like she made the choice, and I was like, you're killing it. Like, good thought. Now we're here, and it's in her hometown, which she grew up in, which is really cool. So she knows a lot of people. It's her roots. So
Right.
it meant a lot to me to be able to do that for her too. So
I guess that must help too, being that like it makes it a lot easier if you know that there's this almost built-in crowd. If it's from a small town and people, she knows everybody anyway, it's going to make it like, people more inclined to support, and you kind of got this built-in base rather than sort of going somewhere new where no one knows you guys and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, and this town is so integrated in terms of like the local support because like even people who haven't seen her since she was like a small kid in theater or like teaching her music, they still recognize her, still are super stoked and super happy to support her, and they're like almost like proud. It's like, it's awesome to see. There's sometimes where I'll stand at the bar and people will come and say like, oh, we're so proud of you, and I'm just like, oh, that's so
cute.
warming, you know.
Yeah.
Like just seeing people see her come back to her hometown and open something so special. It's really awesome.
That's great, man. Are you located, is there like a main, excuse my ignorance of the area, is there like a main street, like is that type of town?
Yeah.
Are you guys sort of like central?
Yeah, so Georgina is made up of a bunch of hamlets. So there's about 4 major kind of like towns, I guess, or hamlets, what do you want to call them? We're in Keswick, which is the dominant one. So there's about, I'd say 50,000+ people in Georgina. We're on the Queensway, and I would say we're the area that's being like developed around. There's like 2 big complexes that are kind of popping houses up like once a week. We'll go for the walk through, and it's like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's new. That one's ready to go. Oh, someone lives there. It's pretty cool.
I've heard of Keswick, actually. Definitely. Okay, so Georgina's more the region.
Yeah, so Georgina's like, it's called the town. I believe I always get this wrong, but I think it's the township of Georgina, and Keswick is a town within that township. So
understood.
However they want to break it down. But it's Keswick, Sutton, Pefferlaw, and then there's Jackson's Point, which is kind of the touristy spot. So those are the 4 main kind of known names in there, but all of it makes up Georgina, the greater area.
Okay, and I guess, like you said, it's only 50 minutes north, so that's hence Old Flame being that they're in that area.
Yeah. So there's Old Flame, Newmarket's the Bear. There's the Crown, which is George on Main.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Giving them all away.
Yeah.
If you look, you actually just interviewed one of the owners in Second Wedge. If you look below the word ale, the signage.
That's it there. That's Uxbridge.
And then if you look up, there's the Monkey. There's a Plane, which is Barnstormer.
Yeah, they're in Barrie, no?
And then the little, it's tough to see because it's so small.
I see
but the little shifter, it's a shifter for Redline Brewing.
I see that too. And then
if you look, there's one more way up at the top. There's a bird.
I see that.
It's kind of misrepresented because I don't think they have anything to do with a bird, but there's a quail, which is Quail's Brewing, which is an absolute gorgeous, gorgeous brewery.
Okay.
Oh, and sorry, there's a boat in Aurelia for Couchiching.
Okay. All right, I know some of these ones. All right, but I guess what I was getting at was like, do you have other breweries nearby? Because say people are coming up from Toronto or somewhere else, right?
Yeah, like you drive right by the 3. So where Market and Old Flame and George are, those are the 3 main ones. They're all in Newmarket, all wicked breweries with their own styles. We've actually collaborated with Market Brewing, so we've done we did a Pils with them a while back, which was super fun, and I think we're releasing that soon again because everybody had it got so much hype we had to launch it again.
That's awesome, man. That's great. Like, I love that there is definitely a whole bunch of, beer folks are like. They might not go out of their way for one brewery, but if there's a bunch, they can make a day of it. Particularly coming up to the summer where people are more inclined to do this type of stuff, and we'll have patios again and all this good shit. That's sick, bro. I like that a lot. That's really cool. So, when you opened, I mean, what was the response like from the community? I know you said that everyone was pretty stoked to see your wife open up a place in their hometown. But like what were the locals pretty like? Oh wow, like this is to have. I feel like breweries are like that community place, and people get pretty excited about it.
No, you're totally right, and it was kind of funny because we knew that there'd be some people. We had a bit of a mixed review because it is kind of a reserved older town. There's still there's not a lot that's here. They don't have anything like this, obviously not just a brewery. They don't have anything with this kind of atmosphere. They've got a lot of hometowny places, kind of not the watering holes, I don't want to say that because they're all great places, they're all great local businesses, but those places that people have been going to for so long, it's hard for them to make that change. So we had a few obviously that were hard to make the transition, but we had such a good response the first month of people who just needed something new, loved that there was a craft brewery that they could call their own, and it's just blown up from there. The community here is crazy, and I love that about this place, and I'm sure that a lot of the breweries, you hear that over and over and over, is it's so much about community. It's not even about just the beer. It's about the people, because there's such amazing people. We have people that we've met at this brewery that are coming to our wedding already because they're just such amazing people that just have done nothing but support us and be proud of us, and it's uplifting because we just moved here. Like, I don't know anybody here, and I have people that are kind of treating me like they know me, just like they know Jacqueline. So it's cool.
That's awesome, bro. I love that, and I feel like I don't know if everybody would respond like this to another type of business. I feel like breweries, like we were saying, are very this unique position that they draw out this emotion and this loyalty and this like excitement that not everything.
Yeah, it's definitely that different atmosphere. Like you don't walk into. There's some breweries that have a bar atmosphere which you can kind of go to and love, but ours it's different. So when you come into Turkey Shoot, like we've got kind of dim lighting. Everything's made of barrels and wood and live edge. Like the whole bar is like 20 feet of live edge wood with grains inlaid and everything. So it's got a vibe, and like people come in and genuinely you see like eyes widen, and people who have been there a ton just love that they can come and they have their cozy little table that they always like. They come in and they look to see if the corner table's ready. It's cool that they wait for that and they want that and they're excited for that. It's fun to build something like that.
That's dope, man. I love it. So the community were excited. Where was I going? I had like a train that was going to go from there. I kind of lost it, but. So
I derailed you.
That's okay. It's okay. It's part of I forget shit all the time, particularly in a podcast where we get drunk. So that's great. So you had, when you started, that's where I was going with maybe the product skills, wondering how people would have converted. So did you sort of like do the restaurants in the area, did they stock your stuff? Like, are they pouring you guys on tap, or is that not much of an option because of the size of the batches?
So we were really lucky that the first restaurant that we launched our Pefferlaw with was called Bailey's Homestead. His name's John Bailey, a local celeb. He's been a caterer, has a restaurant, and he launched us. Like, we legally couldn't sell online without a brick and mortar. So we had to sell kind of the cheat code, basically sell through the restaurant with like a bowl of chips or French fries or buy some wings. Like, we made sure people supported John for supporting us. And on our first day, I bet you we went through like 40 cases of beer, 30 cases, like our first, and that's through a restaurant. Like, we brought a truck full of beer and we were like, oh shit, we don't have to load as much.
That's amazing.
So it was cool. And just to have someone take that risk and like say like, oh, well, we don't know who you are, we've never met you, like, let's open our restaurant to this new brewery who has no spot of their own to sell their beer for them, and like it's an awkward thing to ask a guy like, hey, can you open your restaurant specifically for us to just sell French fries and wings so that we can sell a shitload of beer? And he was like, oh man, absolutely. So it was from that point on, him and two other restaurants have basically kept us afloat during the pandemic, selling our Pefferlaw, our Lake Simcoe, whether it was cans or on tap, which is more recently. We've had nothing but support from all the restaurants, but a few of them have basically been keeping our brand afloat as it was really hard with no brick and mortar, for sure.
Right. That's dope. So then, see, that's really cool, once again, speaking to that community. The taste-wise, like you were saying, maybe a bit more of an older leaning town, and, you know, second way to saying similar things as far as, like, what people... Like, you have to get... You know, maybe there's some older folks who are a little stuck in their ways and they like what they like and type of thing. How did you convert people? Was it more that, hey, look, you know, this Lake Simcoe Lagered Ale kind of tastes like the Coors or whatever that you're drinking, but it's better? Like, was it like an easy process, or was it kind of a drawn out thing to get people to try it? So when, you know, and typically when people try things, they're like, oh shit, like, this is really good. Like, was there a process?
Yeah, so I think the one mistake I think we made, and it's not even a mistake, we did really well with the Peffer Law, but I think because we started with a pale ale in a town who had no craft, I feel like it was a little bit more of a nudge, and the pale ale is like super entry level. We've made it, it's like, I think it sits like 36 IBU. It's nice and light. It uses Cascade Ricau, heavy on the Ricau, so you get nice peach apricot notes. So it was like super like friendly as a starter. So it did well, but as soon as the Lake Simcoe dropped, it is a bit of a hockey, ice fishing kind of quad and sled town. So they are lager. They are a lager town. And I'm luckily for a town like this, you have to brew kind of traditional stuff. I don't think the big cherry sours and smoothie beers and big pastry stouts would work here.
Right.
They do for some people, but to start like that, it wouldn't work. So our flagships were a lager, a pale, a stout, a West Coast, and then like a bit of a hybrid East meets West kind of hazy boy, but like not your full like deep New England.
Right.
And that was just because I didn't know what to expect, right? So, and then the Red Barn, the red ale too, the one that I sent you is, which we were not going to dive into tonight, but enjoy that one because that beer probably sells more than any other beer we have from start to finish because it fits any season.
Right.
You can have it in the summer, it's nice. You can have it in the winter, obviously, and then people are crushing it like crazy because it's our Irish Red. So.
It's kind of like, I guess it makes sense though. Like it's more like from what I've heard, and you could probably speak to it, that like, say, you know, the people who aren't as adventurous maybe with craft and they don't want to go into all the crazy shit, they like an amber, because amber was my first favorite style personally because it was the first thing. It was like step one from a lager. It was interesting, a little bit different flavors, a little bit more complex than what you used to. And it was just like, it's just always like a pleasure, but it wasn't like too much for people. It's like, just
not as deep as stout or like as bitter as an IPA. Yeah.
Exactly. So I imagine that's probably played a part in it, because maybe like some of the folks who you probably won't ever get to drink your stout or any of the other fun stuff you're doing.
Oh, we have a few stern people yet. We push them though, man. We push.
Good.
Twist arms.
Hey man, look, if that's kind of the role that a beer like that plays. So it's great that you've got something like that. It surprises me when you're saying that it was your best seller, but it kind of doesn't when you think about it.
And honestly, it's something we've only just recently kind of looked at. But like we look at the numbers every month, obviously, like when we do all our taxes and stuff. But it's interesting to see every month how those beers transition seasonally. And I'm a very seasonal. I'm guilty for it. I am seasonal as shit. I'll brew summer beers in the summer. I'll brew stout. Like I have like 6 stouts right now on the tap. Like I got so many stouts because it's stout season. It's obviously St. Pat's, so I'm guilty for that. But I did know right away that the cleaner, crisp, kind of classic beers is what I love, and I know that it's just like anybody, and they always say it at any cook too. If you love what you do and you love what you make, it comes out a little bit better. Obviously, there's beer styles that I don't traditionally brew. Like, I don't brew a lot of New Englands. I don't brew a lot of sours. I love a good sour, and I appreciate the shit out of them. I just don't think they don't sell as well here. So they sit on tap a little bit longer. So I find the fresher, cleaner, crisp, easy drinking beers kind of rotate a bit quicker.
That's fair enough, man. I guess that's part of the game, right? You got to figure out, maybe what you intended to start making. Yeah. Isn't what the people who become your customers particularly want to drink. So that's always, I imagine that's probably an interesting thing for a lot of breweries. Like, you might think it's going to be this whole thing, and then you just like pivot completely. Which one? Sorry, I just got my girlfriend now. She's just like, do you want to grab the next one? I'm looking. We're about 35 minutes in. How do you feel?
Absolutely, yeah. I got one sip left, so I'll
Perfect.
finish mine. And,
we're gonna do the pills. Yep.
Which pills
one which one are we doing? Remind me. Sorry, you did tell me before.
Let's do Dinner Jacket.
The bottle in the fridge, please. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's do the bottle. I don't have a label on this, but
yeah, no worries.
I do have Excalibur. Oh, there's my
dandy. I love that.
I've had this awkward opener for many, many years. And Jacqueline makes fun of me when I use it, but I use it all the time. And
that's awesome.
I got it at a thrift shop, and I couldn't not pick it up.
No, you have to do that. It looks awesome. So this is called your Dinner Jacket New England IPA. The bottle, like we were saying, with the hand. I really like the hand drawn labels. Not drawn, but hand. This shows that someone, like a human, went there and they actually, makes you kind of remember.
I don't write any of the labels ever.
You don't do it?
No, I have child's writing.
so do I. It's actually. Oh, you want to do it? So tell us about this one, man.
So yeah, this one, like you can probably see right away. Like I said, I don't do like a deep New England, like super hazy, can't see through it. I like to call this a mashup. It's East meets West, I say.
Okay.
So I basically build it similar, like the body of it similar to a New England, but I use a clean finish yeast, so it drops a lot of it out. And the blend on this is bittered with wild turkey hops from Clear Valley. And I believe this one is triple pearl, Racow, and Cascade combo, mostly in the late end.
Cascade, okay. Triple pearl's an interesting one for a New England.
Yeah. So you'll get a ton of like orangey citrus, but the bit of the pine comes through too, and that's kind of why I say it's a bit of a hybrid, because you get a bit of citrus, a bit of pine, so it's a nice balance though.
Beauty. All right, let's do it, man. Cheers, brother. Get it in you.
Cheers, eh? I think I sipped too early.
Mm-hmm. It's all good. Okay, I see what you mean. It is like, because East meets West. I've heard that used before. This is probably in a much more true way. I haven't actually tasted anything like this before. That's crazy unique. Like
it's a bit different, yeah. Again, I don't like to follow the script. I always joke and say like my recipes are like looking at one recipe and half the page is ripped off. I always joke with that, like that episode from Friends where they're eating that like 7-layer dip and there's like meat and potatoes in it. I don't put meat and potatoes in my beer, but I like to mash it up and make it different. So yeah, it's not as deep and as like creamy, obviously, as like your traditional New England, but it's definitely got a lot of that body haze, and I think it finishes more like the West Side. So
yes, that's what's tripping me out.
Yeah, that's kind of what people enjoy about it. It's like kind of fresh and like starts like a New England, and then you get that pine coming through in the back, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
a little bit of a different little change up.
Yeah, definitely, totally switch it up, and it's got that sort of like, from what I understand, I've had Triple Pearl. I know a hop farm here who does it, and it's like I guess peppery is probably one word I could describe it. I feel like I'm getting that coming through here. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's got a sharp finish, and there's always like, I always said kind of like clementine, almost like rininess to it. Like that's what I always get when we put it. We did like a single. We're doing single hop additions to beers. And that's one of the ones that my wife used on a seltzer. She did a hop seltzer, and that was one of the things you just tasted, like kind of like sharp, kind of rindy tangerine notes on it almost. It was kind of cool.
That's exactly what it is. And kind of like grapefruit with it.
Yeah, like you definitely get the grapefruit. Yeah. There's a bit of that for sure.
It's like the grapefruit, like the grapefruit rind, exactly what you said, or the pithiness of it, mixed with like a touch of pine in there as well.
Just a bit, yeah.
Yeah. That's fascinating, bro. Honestly, I've never had anything like this before. That's
good to hear. Good to know I can bring something new to the table. A guy that's had a lot of beers like you.
Love it. Good shit, man. So, speaking of what you were saying, as far as people's, what they're into and stuff, and you're saying that this type of style doesn't, it's not flying out the door up there. How has the response been to this specific beer, and like and then second part to that?
That's a great question, because like when you like you said, beer, when I launched it, like I know that everybody loves the haze craze, and like don't get me wrong, I appreciate the shit out of a good hazy boy, and I do love one. I'm just a bit jaded because I packaged a ton of them, and I've tried a million of them because I was trying to get into the style and like get behind it. I'm just such a classic clean finish beer guy, so this one, that's why I leaned a little bit more clean finish and a little bit more to the West Coast finish. That's just me as a brewer. That's what I like. But this, again, the response to this beer has been so great that it's starting to push me to want to do more of these New England styles because I appreciate the shit out of them. And I love what people are doing with the big hop combos. And the body on it's the one thing I miss. I don't do a lot of big body, like thick, creamy beers. And I'm going to do a big one this summer for sure. I've been getting enough questions about it. And people know they trust me enough, I think, with beer now that they'll let me kind of venture off from my traditional classic beers. And that's fun because now I can really start pushing the envelope because I love brewing and I love pushing the recipes because there's so much to develop in a recipe and there's so many styles. Like I haven't even touched on so many styles.
Which is good. There's so much to work with, right? It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's the fun in it.
I love it.
It's fun to analyze a beer. I drink my beer all the time, but it's fun to just sit down and enjoy one on the
and like kind of talk
it's
about
not like on the fly, you know?
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people like. I imagine it's probably not the most riveting thing in the world for the brewery to be drinking their beer during the podcast. Obviously that's what we're here to promote, but you know, if you're the brewer and you're trying these things every single day and you know, you kind of do get over it.
It's tough too, obviously, being at a brewery, like you just I have 14 taps. By the summer's starts, I'll have 14 taps. I'll have a dedicated seltzer tap, a nitro tap, and then my 10 rotating taps. So yeah, it's tough to to not drink your own beer, but it's nice to sit down and enjoy one because like I'll obviously have a sip here and there, but there's too much work to do to sit down and really enjoy my own. And people always ask me that question, like, do you like your beer? It's like, of course I do. It's just like, but I have it all the time because I have to make sure it tastes good.
Right. Because then it kind of takes it the same as anything. If you make the stuff, like, I don't know, if you make music, if you make films, you're probably not going to like consume your own stuff. And beer
it's like a chef. Like I'm sure chefs are the same way. They sometimes make a meal over and over and over again. And I'm sure when they go home, they'll never fucking make that for themselves.
Hell no, because it's too much. But at the same time, I see what you mean though, because maybe we're talking about it in more detail and I'm asking questions whilst we're drinking it so people can really get the point. I want to know, but I imagine the idea, the audience can understand what they're, you know, what you offer as well. So it's kind of analyzing it in a different way, maybe bringing it back to when you design the recipe perhaps, because when you're approaching the beer and you're making, you're like, I want to make a beer that tastes like this and has this texture and blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of bringing it back. But yeah, I feel that's always interesting to me. So I'm glad that people are asking for New Englands. I think that is a good, maybe like not suggestion, but like a good indicator that things are slightly kind of like people are interested in a little, or at least a segment of your audience is after something a little different than
because like to be honest, like I'll be like, I've only really, this is probably the haziest beer I did. I do like even my wheat beer. Like my wheat beer is like an American, like crushable, super clean wheat, like American wheat. So that's just something I've always liked. I like clean beers you can kind of see through. But now that I know everyone likes the full body and they like that creamy, like thick, fucking big head on it, like I'll brew that too. Like I know how to brew those. Not like I haven't brewed them. I just not what I leaned into because that's not what I thought would be the demographic here.
Gotcha.
So, like I said, now that I've like basically been told by the town just by their response to all the product that they do buy from us, all the different beers they enjoy, they just basically say like, carry on, like let's see what else you got. So I've got our sour we're gonna do in a big scale, which we never did in the summer, and then a big New England we're gonna do, and then I'm so excited to do a big farmy saison or big something farmy and really kind of out there because I don't think this town has had anything like that. So doing something kind of funky would be really fun to do.
That'll blow their minds a little bit.
Yeah, they'll be like, what the.
I feel like in Ontario, because obviously I'm here in Quebec and the saisons everywhere. I feel like it's less common in Ontario, but from what I've seen from the beer community, they seem a little maybe more excited about it because it's not run of the mill.
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah,
Which is,
and a good saison is like there's a lot of breweries that make a good saison, but to have a great like one that you remember and just like that stands out. It's not as common here in Ontario. I don't think I've found a few that I really enjoy, but I'd love to see what you guys got a bunch up there. I'm sure.
yeah, there's definitely a lot. It's not to be fair, it's not really my thing. I'm not huge on them. But when you get a good one though, like
right, and that's what I mean. Like I always enjoy a saison or any kind of like a grisette, which is like a French plant, I believe on those. But like any of those are they're super nice. But to have a really nice one, like a perfect saison, there's only a few out there that I've had, and I'd love to nail one. My first one, I'll be very honest, it was a bit of a flop. It didn't have the notes I wanted, and like I'll be honest, if I ever land one, people ask, what do you think? Well, I'll tell you right away. Like, it's not where I want it. Like, there's work to be done. And that's kind of what I do. I got to make sure that it's the beer that I want people to have.
Yeah, man, that's fair. Part of the game too, right? And particularly if it's something that's not like, obviously you've dialed in these other beers way more because you've done them more, and it's maybe your passion, but you're also you're a beer drinker like everybody, so you're interested in different stuff, and I guess it's sort of right. So maybe you've really nailed a lot of the lagers and all these other type of crispy kind of styles. So then, same with anything, right? You do it a bunch of times, and you'll just be like, all right, I want a less phenolic and more funky and whatever.
It's gonna be fun to do some funk though, for sure.
Yeah, it's perfect time for summer too. I mean, that's when people are more inclined to be doing it.
Rolling into summer's gonna be great because we're just starting to transition. And you said it great. There's a few recipes that like the Peffy and the Lake Simcoe. I think before we put them in a can, it was like 17 batches of Peffy and like 15 of the lager before I was like, this is where it has to be, before I was happy. There's a few that obviously landed way quicker. Like the Stout was like batch 4 or 5. I think our family was like, don't touch this. This is perfect. So our Ice Hut Stout has never changed since like the 4th batch. And it's like our nitro dose now and we've sold, oh my God. The amount of time we wait for nitro. Oh shit.
Oh, is that because they have to send like to actually order?
We do it proper, so we have like the big drop tap, and like I've dialed in the nitro, and it rolls as exactly like a Guinness. And it took me weeks to do it, and a lot of failed attempts at pouring a nitro stout because I had no idea what I was doing.
So what does that mean?
Like put it to the tap and just kept trying and trying.
So when you say I didn't know that was a thing. This is fascinating. So then, like, the nitro has to be dialed in, meaning the amount.
So like I didn't know this either. I thought like just hook up a fucking nitro tank and pull the tap, you'll be good. But like, you still got to carb the beer a certain amount, and then you got to push the nitro at a certain dose so that it rolls. Like when I first started, it would just be a big glass of foam, and then the second time there wasn't enough nitro, so it was just flat. So finding that like happy medium between both and having it roll from literally the bottom of the glass all the way up, and you see the layering, we finally got it. And everybody's just like, we see people stand at the bar and they'll stand there and watch it for a second. It's like, all right, but there's other people that want one.
Like move. Okay, that's sick.
We're not like that.
I'm joking.
And they just get the old boys are my favorite because they're always like, "Whoa, I want a Guinness." It's like, well, I got something better. It's not called Guinness, but rolls.
It tastes nicer. Okay, that's sick, man. I feel there's definitely something to be said about those type of taps. They're super fun. I feel like they kind of make every beer taste better. Nitros.
They're super fun. We're excited to do some like fruited beers on nitro. I
was about to ask,
we're hoping to do like a key lime like wit on nitro.
That's
the wife's creation. She's like, you need to do a creamy wit. Make it lime. I was like, key lime pie on nitro? Fuck yeah.
Like, that'd be crazy. Have you tried any other styles on the nitro tap yet?
Or not yet. Like, no, ideas? We just brought the Ice Hut because when we finally got it dialed in, it was just landing about kind of end of January. So yeah, once we were able to have people in, the nitro was kind of dialed.
Of course, and then, I kept forgetting that we've all like, I don't know, man. I guess we've all lost track of what the hell's been happening. So, okay, things seem to be all back in action at the moment, which is great.
Yeah, we're rolling now.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. So now it's April 26th is the 1 year this year. Do you have like, I guess because it's your first anniversary, like have you got, anything you can say at the moment as far as plans for collabs, releases, special drops, anything like that?
We're probably, like, I'm going to probably hit the rig pretty hard for a couple brews, but honestly, we've been so swamped getting back into the role, and with just two of us in this like big place, it's a lot. Like there's a lot to do. So we joked about it actually. Like last week, we were laughing. Like we're a month away almost from our 1 year, and we haven't planned a party. We don't have really any beers on the go. It's like, fuck, are we even like celebrating? Can we celebrate a year and 1 month or what? Like,
I guess it is a lot, man. I feel like does it take? It's most of the stuff aside from any Krispies are like the 2 week. Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I'm an ale house. I don't loggers. Yeah, I don't have glycol yet, so I'm just primarily an ale house. So I'm house fermentation, which it works really well. Like I've figured out my timing really well when beer has to leave the fermenter and go into the tank. It's obviously a little bit harder, but yeah, we're an ale house, so I can turn batches pretty quick, pretty quickly.
So it's not the
And I use a big greasy starter, so mine goes real fast.
They kill it. I mean, what is it now? It's the
they
recording this. I love that. We're recording this on the 18th. So, I mean, look, you've got, it's like just over probably like 5 weeks, 5 and a bit weeks.
Yeah, I've got plenty. And we'll probably do small batch on the little rig. So, like, we still use the same rig that we started this company with. Okay. And we make, like, individual, like, small batches. Like, every other day we'll do, like, a small batch just for me to learn styles. For my wife, who's learning to brew, to learn more, and she's really diving into it. So it's really good for her to be on the little rig, to see kind of how things can change and learn the way that I learned. And then I'll slowly teach her on the big rig, and she'll be brewing by next year.
That's awesome. I guess that'll probably be...
I'm hoping so. I'm fingers crossed. She's loving it. It's so fun to see her diving in. She's the seltzer lady right now. She works on all the seltzers. Okay. So she's the flavor queen.
I was about to say, because I know you shot one of those over, which I thought was really sick. I've never seen a seltzer in a bottle before, so that was cool. How did that come about? What's the deal?
We got so many requests, and like we thought with the big seltzer boom that happened the year before we opened, because like when White Claw hit Canada, everybody went fucking crazy, and all the other breweries were like, wait a minute, we can all brew seltzers. Why don't you support us and we'll make seltzers? So a lot of breweries who know how to do it started making really wicked seltzers. So we just decided, like, we got to do it. We got to have one, see how it goes. We did one, and we sold, like, the keg in, like, 2 days in the summer. Wow. So we were like, maybe we do another one. So we did that, and we were turning little 19-liter corny kegs. We were turning, like, 2 of those a weekend just from seltzers, just for people coming in the summer and needing something fresh, lemon, lime, grapefruit, berries, whatever. We just did every flavor under the sun, and people loved it. Couldn't not do it.
Okay, and what's the? I know there's different. What's the word? Like, methods. There's like one where it's kind of like you can probably explain it better than me. I've forgotten. There's like one where you do something with grain, and one where it's like something with alcohol, like.
Yeah, so I think I actually, interestingly enough, I only learned about what I think is like the infusion style, where they basically they infuse it with like hard alcohol, but. Okay. There's the other way where you like ferment it, and you use dextrose brewing sugars and then DME or whatever. Yeah. Yes. So I ferment it. Like we ferment our product. We try to make it. Yeah. There's certain rules behind fermenting any kind of beverage like that. So we do it. Yeah. We make sure that we're doing it the right way. I think that's a lot of the way we do it. We still flavor with like fresh fruit. As much as we can. So like there's videos of us like smashing like berries and blueberries like with a mash paddle in a bucket. We still do it fresh fruit because we're so small. So it's easy enough for us to get small poundage of certain types of fruits. When you start scaling, bigger breweries need to have like boxes of liquid purees and all those other things. Sometimes even leaning into extracts, which is fine. There's great brewers out there that do that. We just, for as long as we can manage it, we'll use fresh stuff as much as possible.
That's amazing. I don't know if did anyone else do it that way? Because I don't think I've heard of anyone doing it that way. I always thought it was the extracts. And you can kind of get those ones where you're like combining the different flavors and shit. Like I've never seen anyone do it with fresh or puree.
You do it, Secrets out. No, we do all fresh fruit. We've cheated a few times. Like, so I do one called Kid Again. Makes you feel like a kid again. So I do a root beer seltzer, I do a cherry Coke, and I do a vanilla Coke.
Okay.
Obviously, there's nothing out there except finding like a little bit of like a natural Coke syrup kind of thing. So yeah, like we cheat every once in a while, but like anytime it comes to fruit, it's always natural. Even the cherries, I smashed the cherries up, and those went into the cherry Coke.
Right.
I don't use cherry extra or anything.
That's even cooler. So does it like, what's the flavor comparison? Like, you know how like I actually quite like, I like seltzers. I have enough. I think they're fun. I love that they're like just super crushable when go to the park, walk through the park, and I'm gesturing because we're next to a park. But
nice.
In summer you're walking around. I swear to God, it's like 85% of people are in Montreal. You're allowed, in Quebec, you're allowed to drink alcohol if you have some food. I think maybe Ontario changed that. I'm not sure what the rules are. But in the park, everyone, like the vast majority of people are drinking seltzers. Like it was last summer, we couldn't believe the volume of people. So I feel like I've seen them around a lot more. And I don't recall having one, like I said, like that. I've had small batch ones from different breweries, but no one's ever at least told me that it was with puree or fresh fruit. What are the flavor? Like, what are the differences, say, between the most common one would be the extract? If you get any White Claw or any Truly or any of those large ones, obviously they're massive macro scale, so that's straight extract stuff. But what's the difference? Like, can you tell? Like, could you taste a raspberry seltzer, the one with extract, and one that you do with real berries that you squished up, and tell the difference?
I would. So it's so tough because like some people are really good at brewing and balancing extract. Sometimes I don't think you'd ever be able to guess, but I just knowing it's fresh. It's for me. I know right away. I also have there's a couple fruits that I'm terrified of. I'm scared to shit of cherry and raspberry in beer. I just think they're scary. They remind me of medicine, and this is just me. They remind me immediately of medicine. So. Yeah. Cherry extract tastes immediately like cough syrup to me. Yeah. So cherries, when you smash cherries and you filter out all the skins and it's just cherry juice, it's just cherry juice. So that to me was the major one. And then raspberries, again, we did raspberries once, the same thing. Just very much, it tastes fresher because you know that you might have to obviously use a lot more raspberry than you would to just put in extract. But I think the distance you go away from artificial flavoring to natural flavoring, it speaks volumes to the product too, because people just it tastes fresher, and that's what we want to create, is as natural as a fresh product as we can. So if we can do that, especially again, like I said, it might change when we get bigger. For now, we're so small that we're so able to do that we're kind of we're lucky. We're lucky to be able to have the ability to smash enough peaches or something into a thing that I can do a nice peach goza with Ontario peaches during the season.
Yeah. Wow. Fuck. I mean, you put it like that, that's amazing. I love it, man.
Right? Like that's the one I'm most excited about. We did the peach goza and they weren't as in season. So this year we're doing it and we're timing it with fresh Ontario fresh peaches, and we're going to do a big old fresh peach goza.
That's amazing. I love that. Sounds delicious. What's the vibe with we were talking earlier about the consumer base and maybe being a little more conservative and traditional in the type of stuff that they like. How has obviously they're you're selling through these bad boys, the seltzers, really quick. Who's buying them?
Everybody. So one of my favorite moments I've ever had at the brewery was my mom and dad were visiting. My mom is a very loud, vocal lady. When she starts laughing, everybody and the third town over hears her. And there was these 4 very burly men who rolled up on bikes, tattooed to shit, and they were drinking a fucking raspberry hibiscus seltzer, and it was pink as shit. And they were all 4 of them, and my mom couldn't handle it. She was laughing her ass off. These guys were just crushing these raspberry hibiscus seltzers, and it was just too funny. Everybody will drink them because they're so drinkable. They're just fresh when it's 30 degrees out and you're under the patio and the sun's beaming down. Anything with berries or grapefruit or anything with a lot of carb, it's just it's perfect for the season for sure. So we'd be crazy not to do one. We don't lean into them as our main thing. People just know that we have a couple that we nail, and that if they bring a friend who doesn't drink beer, which we know there's a lot of that now, we miss out on a big sales opportunity throughout the whole year when all those people who come want something that's like wine. We do a blueberry seltzer that tastes like wine. It's pretty wild. So we do, and again, smashed up blueberries. So we have something for everybody, even if you don't drink beer, because we'd be crazy not to. We've even thought about non-alc, but I mean,
not yet.
Booze right.
Look, I feel that. I've kind of grown into non-alcoholics lately. I enjoy them for the nights off, but I guess there's other. I think it's a bit of an ordeal to figure it out and to do this the arrested fermentation way or the use some sort of yeast that's like special for it.
Like I'm still just like you said, like we said at the start, I'm very new to this. Like I'm still so much for me to learn. There's styles I haven't even touched, and there's there's nothing but growth. So that's it. It's exciting. It's exciting that's kind of where we're headed.
Yeah, man. I mean that's another option. But what was I gonna say about the seltzers? I lost it again. I am having brain farts all fucking night, bro. But this is, I just think it's really fun. I think it's really, no, that's what it was. I was going to ask about the percentage that you package, so like in the bottle format, and then what you keep for kegs. So do you, all of this, like the batches say that we're drinking now, like in this 500ml bottle, you've got the small system, which you said with the 250 liters?
Yeah. So no, my brewing system, I'm about a 2-barrel brew house, and then I brew on a little 30-liter brew rig that creates one 20-liter keg or 19-liter keg. So that's called our small batch.
Understood.
So we do small batch every week. Like I'll do like a fucking honestly 4 or 5 a week.
And we'll just do keg only.
Yep. Go ahead.
They're draft only.
No, so this is what we do is we'll put a new small batch or a new seltzer. So there's a little tiny kegerator fridge. It's got 2 taps that stick out from a little piece of wood that I made. And there's either a small batch and a seltzer, 2 seltzers or 2 small batch, any kind of combination. We'll pour those from Wednesday to Saturday, and on Sunday morning I go in real early with Jax. We'll fresh up the bottles and we'll bottle it off, put 2 new beers on for Sunday Fun Day, and then everyone can take the small batch home in bottles.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, so we give everybody a chance to have it on draft because everyone wants to have it on draft, and then we'll bottle it up, send it off.
Okay.
So whatever's it could be 10 bottles or it could be 20.
Right. Oh, that small run.
Yeah, we always wanted to keep it fresh. Every week we have a new beer on 2 taps, no matter what.
Okay, so it could really be that few amount because it's literally whatever's left in the can.
We sometimes don't bottle it, and people are crushed.
Okay, because I guess it tapped out.
We did a small batch recently, and it was a nice hot profile. It was the Wild Turkey, and there was 3 bottles, and 4 people came in hey, where's the Wild Turkey small batch? Yeah. It's gone.
Damn it. So do you bottle the larger stuff as well, the larger batches, or is that a keg thing only?
Sometimes, depending on the batch. Sometimes we'll do special beers. We just did a beer with a buddy of ours who I met in the industry called Don't Fuck With Phil. We bottled off 3/4 of that because it was a fundraiser. Gotcha. And then we just kept one on tap just so that we'd have another cherry stout for St. Pat's, have another tap filled. But generally speaking, we usually only bottle anything that's kind of a specialty beer or charity beer. The rest goes right into the taps, and the small batch is the only thing we bottle off.
Makes sense. Okay, that's pretty cool then. So you always have, so when people come in to buy stuff to go, do you have a fridge full of stuff that's people can regularly come in and get, and obviously it would rotate, or is it sort of just those Sunday things primarily?
No, so that's a good question. So what we do is we always have the Lake Simcoe and the Ice Hut Stout in cans.
Okay.
Because those ones just be based on the volume and how we do them. We've contracted those ones. So those are 2 cans we'll always have. Once the Ice Hut sells in the winter, it will not be in a can anymore. We only do it for the winter, and I'll kind of explain that when we get into it. And then we also have kind of a sponsorship beer. We sponsor the local hockey team. So we have a beer called Ice Lagered Ale, which is basically a play on the lagered ale, just a different hop and a little bit of a change up, just so that we have a different beer for them. And then small batch. So yeah, it's usually just the lager, the stout, and then any of the small batch stuff. The rest is just growler fills.
Oh, growler fills as well. Okay, nice. What's the vibes with that? People still into them pretty heavy?
Love it. People love it. I think people really, at least in this town, I know some breweries hate doing howler fills.
Yeah.
Trust me, there's a bit of I'm jaded a bit too, because we have some people who just can't rinse it. So you just get like a fucking vinegar grenade and you got to clean it. It's like, what if I just asked you to bring me a clean thing so I could put it right
please, it's not much to ask.
So we do like an exchange program. We do 32 ounces because I think 64 sometimes kind of hurts us. 64 is a commitment. Like you got to open that jug. Ladies? Yeah, like a big 64 ounce. We don't do those because for me, I've had those before, and I know as a consumer, that's a lot of beer. So to be able to have a 32 ounce, which is like we call it the pill or the Boston jug, it's only 2 beers. So like someone can have those, close it, and still have fresh beer. Whereas a 64 ounce, day 4, they're coming back to me telling me, "Hey, that IPA didn't taste as good." Blah. Well, yeah, it was flat. It probably tasted oxidized like shit. Yeah. So we thought that was the play. Smaller jugs, they could pick more off the wall. And then it gives them good selection.
Okay, that's cool, man. It's always fascinating to me that I feel like I don't hear about growlers much these days. And I think it's got to be like market specific. Like if your people... Which is cool. I don't know.
There's some places that just it wouldn't work, right? Like we luckily have a lot of taps. And we have a huge, like I'd say 75% of our comeback, like our return customer base is local. So for them to own a jug, they own 3 jugs, they can just come with their rinsed jugs, we hope. We hope. And then we just pull fresh ones out, give them a sandy rinse, and then fill them fresh right on the tap.
I love that. Okay. I mean, look, I was just sort of curious for people who want to come by and check it out and see what their options are, obviously, and if you're not able, I love you go to a brewery and you want, you drink a bunch of stuff on tap, typically, I don't know, I imagine you do too, we all like to leave with something. And here in Montreal, only up until recently, though, the pandemic, you could go to a brewery and you couldn't take anything out unless they had a specific kind of license. Like if it was a brew pub and they had food, you couldn't do it. So you would go to a brewery and then you'd be like, "Oh, this is great. Where can I get it?" I'm like, "Oh, it's in the store down the road. You can go maybe there."
Weird. You couldn't do takeout, eh?
No. So say like there's a brewery called Judas CL. It's like one of the legendary, been around for 20 years. It's around the corner here, and they never sold their products in the brew pub. But then there's other breweries that opened up that and I think it's because they have a kitchen. So there's other breweries that have I don't remember the name of it. It's different to Ontario, but it's the same concept where if it's like if you're one of those places where you can bring in food and it's not. Yeah, so we are. That's what you guys are.
Yeah, so you can bring food into our establishment, but we can't technically like make food. We can handle it.
Okay.
It's fucking annoying.
What does that even mean?
So I could like serve you up stuff that's like pre-cooked and like packaged, but I couldn't like cook you something on like a grill or anything. Yeah.
Okay, one of those things. Okay, God, yeah, the rules are so ridiculous when you really think about it.
And they're so different from like region to region, right? Like you guys probably have different rules than we do for sure.
Very different. Like we can't do shipping.
Yeah.
We can't do like you can't order beer and get it delivered from anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Don't you guys doesn't Quebec hate like they don't like shrink sleeved cans?
I believe so, like for the most part. Yes.
Cans?
I think it's the government.
They don't like those?
They don't love it. So they use like the print. There's a company here called Heart Print, and they do
Heart Print. Yeah, I gotta hit them up, man. I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, they're great actually. But we're gonna do a video with them, like a little short video to talk about like how that all works from like the aluminium, how they get it in here.
Yeah, I've looked into it because when I packaged for the packaging company there.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
We did work with one brewery, I think it was Foundry in Cambridge, that had the printed cans, and I was just like, you're getting you're getting different cans per layer, but like they're only charging for one. It's just like these guys got it figured out. So
yeah,
I've been that's the game though. Like figuring out how to reduce packaging costs in the brewing industry is probably like one of the number one things on everybody's hit list.
Yeah.
It's like how can we make packaging our beer fucking cheaper?
Because it's not, and everyone's had to lean into it, like during all this time, right? No choice.
We're probably at we got to be at 60+% in cans right now in the industry. Like, nobody does bottles. Like, we got to be plus 60%.
I would say it's higher than that even. I think bottles
it's got to be right. Like probably almost 7. Like everybody fucking cans everything.
I can barely think of anybody because Quebec was way behind Ontario. Ontario was so far ahead of the game with regard to moving from bottles to cans. And then
you guys bottle a lot still there?
There's some places that still bottle a lot here, and I kind of find it weird if I'm honest. It works for some things, but some people just are like holding on for dear life to this shit. Like I don't understand why. Maybe it was just like a consumer preference back in the day. Like when I first moved here to Ontario, I moved to Canada in 2010, and I moved to Quebec, to Toronto, and then I moved here in 2012. So Ontario started when I first moved here is when I got into beer, and it was mostly, except for the European stuff, all the local stuff was, BAOS, Wellington, Trafalgar, all that shit was all bottles, all of it. And when I moved here, everything was bottles, but I'm going back all the time to Ontario, and I just saw it change a lot quicker into cans, and here just sort of hung on for a bit. But it's pretty much all sort of changed now. And there's something. And
you would have been to West Coast by then. Back then, it would have been West Coast.
Straight
City.
West Coast. Oh yeah. It was like when Mad Tom came out in like 2011. Yeah, man, the shit is killer. It was great. It was a really good time.
I wish I would have sent you. So one of my favorites is Revenge of the Pine. I wanted to send you it. It just like wasn't fully cooked, so I didn't get to send that one out. That one's just like as traditional West Coast, like deep West Coast.
Love
That's
that.
like I know you like those too. So.
Oh, I love that shit, man. Like I feel like the industry's I feel like the drinkers are really getting into it. They really like coming.
I've said this to my wife for the last year. I think the haze craze, as much as I love it, and I loved it, I think a lot of people are slowly bending, and I think that you've seen this too. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I think the industry is an ever changing like organism where there's always going to be each year kind of a new thing. People are like, they're over this and they're on to that.
Yeah.
It's sours, then it's hazy. It's hazy, then it's this. I gotta say the West Coast is coming back, baby. It's gotta be making it full circle. It's been like 10 years.
It's time. It's definitely coming back. The popularity of it, because I see haze is not going anywhere anytime soon, but there's a bit of a swing back that people are like, palate fatigue. Everything's fucking hazy. Yeah. So I love this shit.
Too, gotta be that. It's such a good term for it. Palate fatigue, man. I haven't actually heard that term. That's so good.
So it's like if you drink
so many big, juicy, like hop explosion beers out there that people are like, and I recently listened to you talk about something that I can appreciate too is the light lager and the micro lager boom is coming too. I think people are really liking these tread lightly, these like sub 4% lagers. There's a lot to those, and they also show a lot of like skill in those kind of lagers because you're tearing it right down, and you got to make something super clean, super drinkable, but like super flavorful, which is like that's the game. That's the battle, right? 100%. Can't wait to lager.
Yeah, man. Once you can do that and start to experiment with it, people are.
I got a few good ones. I got a light lager and I got a pilsner that are crushing for sure.
They really ready to go. Oh, speaking of that, it's about time. Want to rock it?
Wishbone.
Let's do it. So, tell us about this one. This is a big collab. A really, really great look for you guys. Talk to me about it, man.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool and a little near and dear to my heart. I won't get too sappy. Jeff will kill me, but no, I packaged for Muddy York back when I first started in the industry. He was I think he was the third brewery I ever did. And right away, just seeing what they had created and picking Jeff's brain, very similar approach to how I would do things, doing it himself and building from basically a square box of nothing into a wicked, like reputable brewery. And he's got quite a few big awards under his belt too. So to do a beer with Jeff and the team at Muddy York really meant a lot to me.
That's awesome.
And then to do something that I can't really do in my brewery, a big classic Pils, was pretty sweet. So yeah, we're excited. This is we drained 2 30-liter kegs in 3 days and then went through like 7 cases of this at the brewery. So
I bet. Oh, so you were able to sell it at a Turkey Shoot?
Yeah. So we collab. We had a couple kegs at the brewery, and then like I said, a few cans, and we tore through those, and it was well received. I got the wrong glass.
Oh, good. Oh, I got the right glass finally. Here we go.
Look at you.
Look at this, mate. Not messing around. Come on. There he is. There we are. Looking gorgeous.
That's Kevin.
Kevin's the turkey?
Yeah, that's our our mascot, Kevin.
He looks like a Kevin, I was going to say. That could be a good episode name. He looks like a Kevin. Cheers, brother.
Yeah.
Get that in you. Smells great. Delightful. So this is marketed as a pre-prohibition pilsner at 6%. That is fascinating to me. What's the deal? What were you guys going for? Talk to me.
So it started as like me just bugging Jeff to no end because, like I said, when I started at the game, I brought Jeff my beer during canning runs, so I would hand him like a Kolsch or my Stout or something in a bottle and be like, "Hey Jeff, try this. Next time I come canning, tell me how shitty it was." But no, he gave me some good feedback, gave me some pointers, and kind of pointed me in the right direction. And I bugged him for a while. I said, "Hey, when I finally have a brick and mortar, I'm coming back here one day, and we're gonna throw down." And I shot him a message after about a few months ago, and said, "Hey, in the new year, you want to do something?" We got together and brewed up this pre-pro. That was his call. We decided after chatting about a few different styles what would fit best in his repertoire and his taps during the time. Mm-hmm. We landed on the pre-pro, and it was. From there, I supplied the hops because I wanted to keep it all Ontario hops.
Of course.
He said 100%, let's do it. And we landed on this. So big, complex grain bill on a 6%, which you can't really taste that it's 6%, which is scary.
No.
And then floral front to back with the noble Mount Hood hops that we used in this from Clear Valley. So we're really excited about this beer.
And what would you like? How would you describe like the pre-prohibition pilsner? So obviously it's like a bit of a nod to how things were in the 20s, 30s type shit.
Yeah, so Jeff described it as kind of like back in the day. They had a bit of a different grain bill. So this uses a 6-row build instead of like your traditional pill. So it's got like a lot of depth to it. So you're using some 6-row, and I don't know if Jeff will kill me for telling the secret, but yeah, very light, a little bit of corn, and then Ontario hops, super nice, crushable 6% Pilsner, and we were both laughing at how clean and crisp it came out, and to be 6% and this crushable is a little scary, scary.
That's
there's no booze on that at all for such a light body beer to be 6%. That's an ode to Jeff being so good at his craft. He's been in the game for a long time, and people know him for doing fantastic beers. And to be alongside him to do one of these with his great team over there was a privilege for sure.
That's awesome, man. Was this your first collab or first big collab?
So no, the first collab was actually with Market Brewing. So the first one was again a Pilsner.
Yeah.
Again, a little German style Pils we did with with Market. Again, we used my hops. Again, we used Mount Hood hops on that beer, but again, quite a different profile. The beer used, I don't know the generation on it. You'd have to ask the Market guys, but a very old generation yeast from Old Flame. So it was 4 breweries: Old Flame, Market, George on Main, and myself and my wife collaborating on this Pilsner, and they called it what did they call it? The New Market Pils, kind of an ode to community development and bringing everybody together in a time when we weren't really allowed to do it, but it was great.
Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do, and it's that's really cool, and it must have been an interesting time for you then, being that you don't know what life is like operating a brewery in a regular world, I guess.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of crazy. There's a few breweries that I know of that have gone through similar stuff, and it must be, I don't know, it feels kind of trippy to me. Like, it feels, it must, because you don't know what it's like to not have to be like, oh, fuck, now we have to shut down. Oh, now we're open again. Oh, now it's 50%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the roller coaster that has been this opening was wild. Like I said, like, just in a nutshell, like, we launched our first contract beer, first pandemic, second beer a week after, and then we opened our doors a week before the third lockdown. So like we've literally been we joke, we're a lockdown brewery.
Yeah.
We like to lock it down. Every time we're going to launch something, we're just going to make sure everything's locked down and make it as hard as possible. But no, it's there's other breweries that did it. Like I know that you've chatted lots with Bebo and the boys over at the folks over at Third Moon, and funny enough, they were one of the last few breweries I packaged before I ventured off and started to do my own thing.
Oh, yeah.
So again, they were a pandemic brewery. And there's a list of other breweries that you've mentioned in other podcasts that all probably felt how fucking hard this was. Not only just opening a brick and mortar, because that in itself is its own endeavor, but then you've got to kind of jump through all the municipal hoops, the COVID hoops, the patron hoops too, just telling people like, no, you can't do that again. No, please wear that again. Please sanitize. Like, we don't want to dictate how people enjoy our brewery, but we're bound sometimes by the rules and regulations, obviously. Like, we have to be.
Yeah, it's not fair, man. And I feel like I got an extra respect for you guys. When I say you guys, the breweries who opened during all of this, because man, it's like exactly like you said, you nailed it. Like, it's hard as hell doing this, and it's, capital heavy and all this stuff. And then on top of that, you have to deal with this and constantly changing rules, and then managing people, and hopefully they don't get mad at you for just doing what the government is telling you to do. And if you don't do it, you get it fined and get in trouble. It's a really crazy time, man. So I'm really happy for you guys that you're able to, keep it going, push through, get the support of the locals. Like, what did get you through it? Being that, now you're coming up on a year. Obviously, you had the contract and you had the LCBO.
Honestly, I'm gonna laugh, but honestly, my future soon-to-be wife in July, she keeps it all together, because there were a few times where I for sure could have gone off the rails, and this was this was kind of the idea I pushed on to her. So I think just knowing that we have the potential to build something so unique and so special, that if we can grind this out and get through it, then we obviously can get through when the world starts to turn again, full access. Like, if we can grind through this opening and get launch after launch through a pandemic and handing beer out the door, we can survive. So we know that we've seen it. We've seen it just from the response from our patrons that come back week after week, the people who are there helping her close down the place tonight. That's what we wanted to create. We knew at some point normalcy would come. So as long as we keep focus and keep the pedal on the floor toward what we want to build, then we know that we can build it based on the fact that people will keep coming back as long as we have a good product, a good vibe, and good atmosphere. And that's what we've tried to create. I think we've done that. So I think that's why we've thrived during a pandemic, which I'm sure a lot of places sadly can't say, and I hope that the places who can't say that bounce back, because this has been a fucking hard time.
Yeah, man. Well said. Yeah, it's crazy, and it is extra cool, I guess, as well, that I imagine, aside from the constant grinding from your side, that you would have had a pretty strong support from your community. Like, they would have really shown out, because I feel like one thing that I noticed from all of these last 2 years of pods, breweries are just giving up everything. It's the community came through, man. They rocked it. They supported. If they couldn't obviously can't come in there and get pints, and they're like, give me all of the bottles and cans I can take, type of thing. Like, yeah, I imagine it would have been the same for you guys at
You're totally right. And you hit it nail on the head, because there were some people that, and we would never ever, that we're not the people to discriminate. We never wanted to have to ask for people's information. That never should have been something we should have had to ask. So for some people who couldn't give that to us or couldn't give that to us, for them to come in and still fill a bag with 6 bottles and a few cans or whatever, and then come back when they feel comfortable to come back to still support us through the door, it's the lights are still on there because of those kind of people. We wouldn't have music playing in the background, we wouldn't have lights on, it wouldn't be continuing to brew if we didn't have people who came even when the doors were shut. The doors were fucking locked. You could only pick beer up these days, and I'm handing it out the door. We've had those people that started buying beer just through the internet and through the Shopify, who are, like I said to you before, there's a few of them that are literally coming to our wedding because they're such phenomenal people that they touched us in a way that we will never forget them. We'll always be friends with them. They come on a weekly basis, and they're not just coming to support us. They're coming to hang out with us, and they're coming to spend time with us, which is that alone is uplifting because like we've created friendships and developed this like whole vibe that like that's all we wanted, and now we're starting to see it kind of come full circle now that the pandemic is. I don't want to say it's over. It's not going to be over for a long time, but yeah, we can all just be happy that it's slowly turning toward the positive.
Yeah, no, I feel the same, man. I'm not going to put my money on anything just yet. As far as that,
no, you can't now. You can't.
It's unpredictable with whatever. I mean, without going too into it, yeah, everything's kind of wild, and the response to it. Everyone that I've spoken to, everyone kind of feels is like ready to not have to have all these. I think 2 years is a long time for everyone's lives to be constantly.
It is, and like that, and it's a tough spot for us too because we totally understand. Like as business owners, especially, we've had to deal with telling people to do these things we shouldn't have had to do.
Yes.
But now everyone's so ready to go back to like normal.
Yeah.
That it's tough because like, especially with me and my wife being the only ones who operate the business, we still have to remain safe and healthy because if we get sick, the business closes, and that's the only thing we have. So we're finding that people are very responsive here to us asking them to do certain things. Obviously on Monday, it'll be a little bit of a different story. We're just, all we can do is roll with the punches, try not to limit people to what they feel. Like we're going to let people do what they want to feel comfortable doing. We're not going to just lift it completely. We'll wear our masks, but it's like you said, we don't want to dive too much into it because we fucking live it every day, but it's a tough spot for us, especially with the masks, but we've been lucky that this is kind of like a hometown feel where like everybody knows their neighbor. So when you ask somebody something and just say like, I'd be more comfortable if you did this and you're at my business, a lot of them are just like, no, absolutely. Like, no, you guys are doing great. Like, don't worry about it. That doesn't hurt us. We've been doing it for so long. But there's the odd egg, you know, it's the odd asshole.
Yeah, people get passionate about this stuff, and it's it's just such an interesting thing. It does suck, and like you're right, I never heard someone say it like that. But it was there was things that you shouldn't have had to do. You shouldn't have had to, like you're essentially, obviously any business is a government agent by already collecting tax, and now you got to do all of these other tasks to make okay, when people come, you have to check this, you have to check this, you have to do this, and all these different things. It's just, there were a lot of extra pressures.
Yeah, it was the whirlwind, and it wasn't that we didn't want people to be safe. Like we wanted to follow the rules, and we did. Like we do everything we did to try to get everyone back to what we thought was normalcy. So it is, as a business owner, it was such a tough thing to navigate because like there's so many ranges of personalities to please, and we're the type of people we are. We're just happy-go-lucky, like chill. Let's fucking have a beer and we want community tables and all that back. Like that's kind of people we are, but we still want people to feel safe at our business. So it's tough.
I think
it's a tough line.
You are. That's really it, right? As these change, I imagine the Monday thing. I keep forgetting what's up, but I think that's the mask mandates are removed. Is that what?
Yeah, the masks are lifted on Monday.
On Monday. Yeah. So then there's going to. Pardon.
In certain settings, so I think health settings is different, but in like restaurant settings, people can be just kind of renegade. Yeah, just go for it.
Gotcha. Yeah. There's going to be different levels, and that's the thing because of like, it's where it gets complicated. There's different individual comfort levels, and there's the business comfort level, what they want to do, and it's kind of like easing things back into it, like.
And that's the dance, yeah.
The normal thing, and like I feel like I guess lifting it gives people the flexibility to be like, well, I want to still rock mine, so I'm going to do that, and it's all good. And if other people don't, I guess it is what it is. It just lets people be a little more comfortable. I guess and that's probably step one towards it, and hopefully it doesn't have any negative ramifications. But man, I feel you. I just feel like you just had so much shit to deal with over not even a year open, and there's just all these extra things. It's so wild.
It's just it just adds a whole new element, right? Like you never in your fucking life put COVID in the business plan. Like you don't, like you build a big business plan, like you build a model and you build projections, and that's not in there, like that's not in there. So now you're new to opening a business, you're new to the brewing industry entirely, and now you've got to dance through all the government and all the hoops and try to make everybody happy. So it's tough, but I think we're super fortunate that it is very, very tight knit community here, because nobody here we've only had a couple bad eggs, to be honest. And like, that's a lot to say for the last year that we've been open, to only have a couple times where I'm just like, get out of here.
That's actually not too bad. That's not too bad at all. It could be a lot worse. All things considered.
They're never that bad. It's just we hear it all the time. So I think it's just like we're a bit jaded because we, again, like you say wear a mask and all of a sudden you get a lecture on mask protocol and how they're safe and not safe. It's like, I've heard it, man. I get it.
It's like just time and place. Like, it's sometimes like cool if you have feelings about stuff, I get it, but it's more like, and so I don't know, they're the rules in that place. So what you're gonna yelling at somebody is gonna change it?
Yeah,
that's the thing I don't get. Like, even if
that you say it so perfectly, it's such a tough thing too, and like it's great when you have people who can be there and say what you want to say for you, because we're, again, like I said, it's so close knit that like if you catch someone at the bar, they're not wearing their mask and they're being a bit of a dick, other people will say something. Like other people at the brewery know us enough to speak for us, which is like so nice because like they know that I don't want to. They know what I'll say.
Well, you don't want to have to say anything.
And it's like I don't want to have to say something. Like I don't want to have that argument. It shouldn't happen now. We've all been through it, and we're all everyone who's coming to the breweries.
Yeah,
like we've been through it so long. It sometimes just blows me away that people are still fighting that little thing. And we're so close to being done it. So
yeah, we're so close now. Like, look, I get it. I've always been like, no problem with it. Lately, I'm over it. I'm fucking done with wearing them. But you know what I don't do? What I don't do is not do it. So if I'm going to the supermarket, what am I going to do? Yell at the person who's stuck in the apples and just be like, no, I'm not wearing it. I'm like, just shut the fuck up, deal with it while I'm in there, and then you leave. And then it's all good. Yeah. So that's what you do.
But it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice to be over it, so that we don't even have to have this conversation, And like I know, and I don't want to. So like I know we don't want to derail. So let's jump off, go back.
Yeah,
to
please.
But no, it is. It's hard to not talk about it though. Like when a business, like the last 2 years of a business has been built around a fucking pandemic.
That's why I want to bring it up. Yeah,
we're so close to being done it. So like we're nothing but
keep it going.
Big thumbs, smiling faces, man. We're over it.
Positivity. No, yes, I absolutely wasn't. You didn't want to dwell on it. It was just I feel like it's a pretty important part of your story, being that like
100%. No, and it's always a question that comes up. People like, how's it been? We get that daily. Like, how's the last, especially people who haven't been there in a while. Like, how you guys been doing? It's like we're doing tough, good, man. But like we can't wait to have patios, no mask, and like fucking dancing. Like, I want people to be dancing. Like I'm a musician myself through and through. My wife and I met in music, so like we are musicians. We've had music the last 3 nights at our brewery, and it feels real. Like it feels like that's what we should be doing. Like this is, we built this and invested all this money into something and put our blood, sweat, and tears into this so that we could build an atmosphere, a community around something. And now we're almost there. We're almost back to what we wanted.
We're basically there. So let's pivot a bit. One thing I wanted to ask you as well, like obviously you've got the situation with the canning and the contracting, so you can get all the brand awareness in the LCBO, which I think is fantastic. You got your super small batch that you can rotate every week and always have something fun and new and different and weird and test shit out. And if it works, cool. And if it doesn't, well, there's only 30 liters of it. Next one. And you got your 250, your 2-barrel system. So where, like, have you got plans to expand or anything yet? Or is it still a little early days being that, we're coming up on the year? Like, have you got any sort of plans maybe for the remainder of 2022 to sort of try and do something else? Like, we'll talk about the glycol.
If I could convince Jacqueline to let me put a sledgehammer through the back wall, it'd be done tomorrow.
Okay.
We are fortunate that the building that we rent has a warehouse attached to the back of it with a big bay door, the extra 2 feet of ceiling. We just couldn't afford both. So we had to take the front space, which was like storefront with like the big glass windows, and make it all work there. So we have done that, but now we're only 30 capacity and we've been maxing that out like every day. So we've been looking at it. It's just tough. Like we just finished building a brewery. So to think about knocking freaking wall down and opening another brewery is like, no, man.
not yet. So that would be, it would just be expanding production at the back, essentially.
It would, honestly, it'd be just ripping the demising wall down. I think it's a 3-pillar. I think there's 3 pillars that have to remain, but it's all like it's demising. So we'd knock it down. We'd push all of the steel to the back space, 1,800 square feet in the back. We're 1,800 square feet currently, so we're very tiny. Like, I don't think we mentioned that, but yeah, we're only 1,800 square feet. So I brew in about 400 square feet, and the rest of it is the tap room and our giant bathroom, which I'm sure some people who get that joke who had to put in this stupid giant handicap bathroom, which we obviously want everyone to be accessible, but boy, is it a big bathroom.
And I guess it would feel that way in a small space, and these bathrooms.
Well, breweries, we have, with the luxury we don't have is space. We don't. Right. If you can go up, you're living the dream, but like floor space is a nightmare in most breweries. And that was, again, one of the fortunate things I got to see when I was at a bunch of different breweries. What did you do to put your brew house in? Where are your tanks? Where's your drainage? What mistakes did you make? And we made the same mistakes that a lot of breweries made. We didn't do floor drains. Like we didn't do trench drains. And now I'm a squeegee master. See me with a squeegee, man.
I love
it. We got flat floors, but like only one good drain. So you got to send the water one direction.
Gosh. Okay.
So no, we're dreaming of. I think every brewery does. I think every brewery, when they start, they think, "Oh, this is great," and then like a year in, they're like, "Oh, man, we're shouldering each other every time we move. I'm running into fermenters when I turn around." So that would be the dream. I would love to kick the wall down and push all the production to the back, start a big tap room, double our capacity, go to 60 people, little wraparound patio. We got a taco guy that comes every summer. He's we want to make him a permanent fixture. So there's big plans. Just it's a matter of, do we have the legs to do it? Will people invest in our brand enough to justify the expansion? I think those are all questions that come to the table when any brewery's making that step. Yeah. But I think right away we knew this space was kind of something we would need. So it's just a matter of playing the cards right. We don't want to, obviously, we move very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So if year 2's expansion, then fucking year 2's expansion.
I kind of wouldn't be surprised at this rate, Have you thought of obviously you've figured out some great ways to do your lagers and the things that you're maybe not able to do in-house, such as the stout for the canning, the Lake Simcoe. You got this great collab that's in the can as well. Would you do more like do you have any plans for other, like, say, contracting some more other flagships or other getting new brands in LCBO and so forth? So
we're definitely going to push the Ice Hut, which we'll get into last. I think we're going to do that one last. The Ice Hut is like it's our flag winter beer. So we I'll explain it after, but that one we'll push to the LC next year, I think, because we had such a good response. Like we tore through cases of this, and we really didn't we had a good response from the product in the summer. And I do 2 versions. We always joke. I do a summer version of the Ice Hut, and then Ice Hut in the winter, we put a coat on it. So we make it big, 6%. We add a little bit of oats, kind of bulk it up a bit. Okay. And the summer version is like a 4% torn down, like it's the thinnest stout you've ever had. Yeah, that's it.
It's time. I love it. I know we're pushing through these tonight quick, but we got to let people know. Okay, that's really smart, man. Like doing the like a lighter version of this in the summer, and obviously, this is that big 6%er. And what do you just? Is it just like a
big boy? Yeah, it's got a coat on, little parka.
I cut my nails.
So the fun thing about this is if you look at the can art, there's 482, which is the number of our building. We're 482 the Queensway.
Okay.
And the little hut and sled that's on there are actually the winner of our first annual Ice Hut photo contest.
No shit.
Which we're just finishing up now.
Okay.
And we're just going to dive into year 2 of our Ice Hut photo contest.
And what's that about?
So, Lake Simcoe's known primarily for its ice fishing.
Okay. No shit.
So what we did is we took we basically said, give us your best ice hut photo, and we'll put it on the can. So that ice hut that's on the can is actually the winner of our first annual ice hut photo. They submitted a beautiful photo, and they were the winner. Now we've got probably almost 30 entries this year, and what we'll do is we'll pick our top 3, put it on Facebook. People will vote, and that will be the can art for next year's ice hut. We'll do it every year.
That's cool. And I guess someone like you just get like an artist to draw it in there.
Yes. Again, we always use local. We'll always use a local artist. So yeah, we had a local digital art guy do up the label. He just kind of did his own flash take on the photo and embedded it into the image. So yeah, that's our ice hut.
All right. Well, cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Solid.
I had to laugh at one of your last podcasts I listened to. Your put it in you joke.
Oh, the put it in you?
Holy cow, that was funny, man. I had a good laugh. Yeah, it is aggressive. Putting it in you is just not the same vibe, man. Putting it in you is way cleaner.
Much simpler. We do not say put it in you. It was Simon, the marketing chick. Yeah, it was. She said it. She said it to them, I think, because she knew that I said it or whatever, and she just, they're French here, so she just misinterpreted it. And, obviously it's pretty funny when there's someone, speaking a second language and does it. And I think I don't think I heard her say it. I think he told me that she said it, and I was like,
so she didn't get caught red-handed.
I think to him, because he knew what it was. He's from Burlington, Ontario. Yeah. So then, he lives out here and he speaks French and everything. But there was, now put it in you is just the funniest thing, because it's not a thing.
I was actually listening to that podcast today on the way home because I had to drive to Sea Whistle, and then it was 9 hours out of fucking Toronto.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Just getting off the DVP was 25 minutes.
Really?
What a night. Jesus I don't miss that place. I love being in the country.
Yeah, man. I do love Toronto as well. We always drive when we're there. We stay with my girlfriend's mom out there and stuff, and it's it's not too bad. But I think because we're not doing like a commute, or we can time what we're doing. But yeah, the traffic is insane, and I always forget how big it is. It's just so fucking wide.
Well, that's kind of what I laughed about. And I drove in, and as I was driving in after the flat tire, which was obviously a nightmare. So I'm already in there, let's get this day over with. But then just getting to the downtown core, and when you're near the CN Tower and Steam Whistle, it's a zoo. It is such a zoo. I did a full lap of that place before I realized that Steam Whistle's little loading dock was some gravel concrete
the little road in the back there.
Holy, it took me a while to get in there.
And that's annoying to do the lap around there, because you've kind of got it comes back to Lakeshore. Yeah, because you can either go on the Gardner or you can go around Lakeshore. And then you'd have to come back around whatever that street is that's by the aquarium and the stadium and shit.
I did that. And you're going 1 kilometer because everybody's just no one looks at any crosswalk. It's just free more. Just everybody just walking across the street.
Oh yeah, then you just you can't do anything. It's so crazy. Yeah, man. It's
it was a long day, but hey, this is a perfect end.
Right. This is a great way to wrap it up.
So what do you think of the stout?
Yes. Exactly, right? So tell us, I know we spoke about it a little bit. So this is it's a little more of a ramped up body. So it's 6%. It's nice and creamy. Mm-hmm. Great looking head. Really nice. What's the nose I'm getting now? I mean, mine's really cold though. I feel like it's warming up a bit. It's getting the kind of super
Mine's
chocolate.
Been sitting out, so I'm full stout mode.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you get a little, I would say mainly on the nose, you get a little bit of the chocolate, not as much of that dark roasty as you'd get on most stouts.
Maybe that's what
I don't hit this with a ton of roasted malt.
Okay. Just
because I didn't want it to dry out. So I think this one kind of sits as a hybrid a lot of my beers. So I built it like a dry Irish dry Irish stout. Mm-hmm. But then I hit it with a ton of oats. So I softened the shit out of it with oats, bulk up the body, and then low carb. I hate carbing stouts high. I try as best as I can with my mouthfeel carbonation technique. I don't have anything to test, so I just do it on mouthfeel. And primarily, stouts always should drink a little less carbonated. I think a really sharp carb stout is weird. So
yeah, I agree.
Try my best to carb to style.
Carb to start. That was perfect, man. This is really good. I feel I'm getting a bunch of coffee in this.
Yeah, definitely coffee notes. Yeah, dark, like kind of dark baker's chocolate.
Yeah,
and little bit of roast, but not like so heavy into the roast that you're drinking a coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Nice little mild bitterness in here, super crushable. 6% is like a money zone, so it's like a little more ramped
not
up than like
too
the 5%.
heavy. Yeah. And the thing is, too, is like it's nice that you notice the bitterness because we do try. Like I always say, we use Willamette on this one from VQ. So again, another Ontario grower, and I think this one sits like 35 IBU. Like I put enough hops in it that you can at least try to pick it up when you really roll it.
Oh, for sure. You can get it for sure. And once again, this is like my shit is like much too cold. I should have taken it out a little beforehand, but it'll warm up nicely into it. And I'm still picking up the bitterness at this coldness, but it's like it's either like that dark chocolate, subtle dark chocolate bitterness, or kind of like a light espresso kind of bitterness that sits perfect. Like this I love these I think 6%, 5 to 6 is like such a great. I find myself wanting stouts like this all the time. Like when I'm like having a session, I like to kind of either finish on this ABV stout. I feel like I don't have enough of them. I feel like I'm always like, oh fuck, I don't have anything like that.
It's funny because when I pitched this beer to Toronto Brewing, who obviously like was a big influence on my business starting, because when I lived in Etobicoke, I was 12 minutes from their Keswick location.
I remember Zach, right?
Another second location.
Yeah.
Where the fuck was I going with that?
We were talking about when you pitched this beer to Toronto Brewing.
Oh, so oddly enough, when I pitched the beer recently, I said, hey, do you guys want to bring in our stout? Because they got a bottle shop.
I saw that, yeah.
The first thing he said was, well, we don't have a single adjunct-free 6% stout. And I was like, buddy, I got you. I was like, it's adjunct-free, 6%. It's not heavy. It's nice and balanced. It's a little dry, a little creamy. They tore the case, it looked like, so it was good.
I love it.
Again, cool to see my beer at a place that was pivotal to the launching of this business. I went there and picked the brains of all of those people that were at the shop. Again, I'm sure there was a lady there. I forget her name, and I hate that I do, but she was there at least 4 or 5 times when I started brewing, and I sat there for like a half an hour, like, but what would I do with this? But should I use this grain? And she's like, can you leave the shop, man? There's other people to serve. No, but the crew at Toronto Brewing is so amazing. And it's a testament to what they've done now that they have a second location, because they've done nothing but good things for the industry. So I'm super excited that I still can now give my beer to a place that it definitely
helped you get in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. They were great. The supplies were amazing. The help was phenomenal, and his outreach to the industry now is even further than it was before. So
I got to catch back up. I used to know him back in the day when we first.
I've only met Zach a couple times, but the whole crew there. He's got another guy joined in. All of them are just great people. Again, the industry's tough to find not like-minded people. So
everyone's cool.
Pretty.
Bro.
Yeah.
I like hearing. That's really interesting. You say that though, that he didn't have a 6% stout. Because I just find they're just not. I'm finding myself craving them, and just they're not really existing. So I think you're really feeling like a
Adjunct City right now. I think that's the big thing, and we have one too. So we have the Midnight Espresso, which is like our coffee infused stout. We've got the Don't Fuck with Phil, which was our newest fundraiser beer. It's a cherry infused stout.
Love it.
So I think that's kind of where everybody's leaning to. Is the pastries, and I know again, I mentioned them earlier, Third Moon and there's a ton of other breweries that do all these pastry style, let's get sweets on it. Let's get some notes that are hazelnut, something that's very, very distinct. And I think there's something in that, because there's some phenomenal beers out there that I've grabbed. One that I wanted to try was, I forget who did it, but they did a tiramisu.
Oh, that
my
was
wife has
Bellwoods
been bugging me forever. Bellwoods, was it?
It was Bellwoods and
my
Third
wife
Moon.
has been bugging me to do a tiramisu forever, and I was like, I just don't know the flavor that well. I don't know where to go with that. But I think there's something in those styles. It's just something I haven't really scratched huge into yet. So I'll get into them, but I'll never be a guy to put donuts in my beer. That's not something I don't think. I don't know if it adds much. Maybe I'm again Cheers to everybody who's put all that stuff in their beer. There's no disrespect to anybody doing that. I just don't know if that's something that I would do. I don't know if I need to do that. As my scale, I can do clean beers and fun beers too, and pastry beers, but maybe not add Oreos.
Yeah, you don't have to do, I think there's a lot of people doing that. You don't have to do it that way. I feel like there's something to really be said about the clean ones. The pastries are amazing, particularly, but they're...
Oh, I love them. No, and there's absolutely no disrespect. I love some of these beers. Do that. I'll guilty pleasure the fuck out of some guilty hazelnut stouts, man.
I feel like
don't get me wrong.
Like baby pastries.
I just don't know how far I'd go, just because coffee's a big infusion for me, and I love coffee. So like after coffee, I've done other ones, like my winter beers. I did like a lactose chocolate stout. I did like a kind of a cherry, like I said, I've done adjunct stouts, but I think there is something, like we said, like there's something to just an OG 6% Irish dry, or like a big Baltic, like even a porter, not even just stouts, but like a big Baltic porter, just a big robust stout. I don't think there's as many of those now as there used to be, maybe, but I think everybody's leaning into the adjunct stouts, which is sweet. There's a lot of creativity we had there. Yeah.
No, you're right. I think do you know what I reckon? The swing back to lagers being popular and more interesting. Like even for me, I'm big on haze and smoothies and pastries and all that shit. But if I had to choose any beer, I'd be like, give me a lager, give me pills. That's why I was really happy we're doing a couple of those tonight, because that's just what I would prefer.
I think this is my call. Quote me on it now. I think the big change is coming. I think there's going to be something to dry hopped lagers and lagered ales.
Yes, definitely.
I think there's so much going on in the lager world right now, with everyone trying to do these light, new, fresh lagers. I think people are going to start dry hopping stuff with some nice, soft, maybe nobles, maybe not nobles, maybe some fruited ones, but and I've seen it more and more and more, is that these people some breweries are doing these like kind of dry hopped kolsches or dry hopped pilsners, which I think is pretty cool, because you've got a nice, crisp, clean body, which caters to lending a lot of, I guess, stage to the hops, because there's nothing for them to hide behind. So like you've got the opportunity to showcase some of these soft, really melony, really berry forward hops that I think that's the next push. And I'm leaning on one. I got one in my pocket.
You gotta do that? Oh man, we just dropped a collab last week. I did a dry hop. The dry hop pilsner with Moteca.
How is that?
Fucking amazing. Like, and for the exact reason that pretty
crusher?
Yeah. Oh, dude, heavy. And it was for the exact reason you said, and it was because it's a light body that's the canvas for our hop. And this is a New World hop, New Zealand hop, super bright and tropical and fruity, and it works.
Which hop did you use?
Moteca,
yeah.
Yeah, and I asked them for I said I want it to be like a Pilsner or a Kel, like real Czech, authentic type of thing, and he made it 4.5%. I don't recall on the grain bill. Obviously, it's a little outside of my expertise, so I kind of let them take care of that. But I was like, all right, let's rock the Moteca, and it came out really. I like, no bias because it was my one, but I think it's the best one in the pack, because it's a 4-pack with all different beers. Yeah. And it was because it was. I think it was just on the money for the exact reason you said. Yeah, no bias. Well, bias, but no bias. It's just, but you're right, dude. You're so right. Like, I feel like I'm not seeing, because you say dry hop lagers and all that stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I see a lot of them. But then, as you were talking, I was like, maybe you're right. Maybe there aren't as many. Because I couldn't even think.
There's something coming. I think there's something coming. I think the haze craze is going to slowly pale out, and I think there's something to a nice, clean finish lager or a lagered ale, or even just a light pale, but like really hop forward with a lighter hop. I think people are going to soften everything. Everything's like hop. Let's fucking saturate everything with no, and there's some amazing beers. I just think, like you said, palate fatigue was such a perfect word.
Yeah.
I think this industry is so developing, and everybody wants to try new shit. So I think there's something in the fact that there's so many beautiful soft hops that only get used as like just an underlining factor of a lager. but why not bring them forward as like something that could be the flavor forward portion of a body of beer that's so light and usually typically like kind of bland. Like there's some lagers, maybe I'm just speaking on my own bias, but there's some lagers that are just like they're just lagers. You don't remember them, you drink them, you love them, they're great to drink, they're fucking crushable, but like you want something that you can like be like, oh, remember the hop profile on that like Kolsch? And it's like, wait, you had a hop profile on a Kolsch?
And it's
I think there's something to that. I think that's the next move. I think the light lager thing is already taken a big foothold in the industry.
Yes.
So to like create something flavorful and light it's gonna be fun to see.
Yeah, I think you're on the money with that for sure. I don't know if I've seen a dry hop light lager, like a 3.5, 4% type of thing.
I do one.
You do one?
I do a Lurky's light lager. It's a Mexican style lager. It's like based with corn, and I hit it with heritage hops from Tavistock, and I like nuke it like late end, and then I dry hop a little bit too, just to get. We're gonna start dry hopping it more because we want to start pushing that envelope. But yeah, we do like a Lurky's light lager, and it's got a big hop profile on it, which is like fun for like a 4% Mexican style corn based, like almost like a cream ale, I guess. But I still use a lager ale, so it is a lager. And we have our little mini fridge that I just freed up so I can start doing my mini 19-liter batches of lager so I can start getting ready for glycol. We're aiming for glycol by the end of summer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look. Okay,
yeah,
so end of summer. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, by the end of summer, I'm hoping to really make some moves in the tech that we have to start pushing the recipes.
Okay. So that's gonna.
I know how to do lagers and I know how to brew those beers, but it comes down to like temperature control and just the controls on everything, right? The more control you have, the more like the product will benefit from that. So when I can finally get glycol and do these lagers and pilsners, I've got 2 for sure that we've like already done a few times that got scooped out of the fridge like crazy, and then there's one other one that we've been kind of leaning on, like a little bit of a Munich kind of dunkel that we have. It's a Bock, but like a darker one. It's a Bockelganger, we call it.
Nice. Good name. Okay, sick, man. That's exciting because I guess, obviously this is your passion, the lagers, the crispies. So to be able to, have a bit more freedom to do more of those would be pretty exciting for you. So that's great for you, man. Love it. I'm excited for that. So then, to bring it home, like what's up next for you guys? What else should people be looking forward to? Obviously, we talked a bit about, the summer stuff happening, world somewhat getting back to normal. But yeah, as far as there anything else that you can talk about, have you got any like collabs coming up that you can talk about, or any sort of?
We got a few things coming up. We've like definitely transitioning into the patio season's a big one for us because we've got our taco guy. I was gonna rock his hat, but I couldn't find his hat. Our buddy Coco's Tacos is he's a pivotal role in the summer. He's a friend of ours. He messaged us last summer, said, "Hey man, I make tacos." I was like, "Okay, well bring me some tacos and we'll see how you do." And he brought me like the most ridiculous spread of food I've ever had. And I was like, "Buddy, if you bring that here, you're here forever. So like, please." So yeah, he's coming back. Everybody thought he was gone because he was chasing an adventure in the States. That kind of fizzled, bittersweet for him and us. But we're having him back. And then the expansion. Like, I'll be honest, we're very seriously thinking about putting a fucking hole in that wall. Like it's as our whole business venture seems to be going, everything seems to be just rolling so quickly that we have to make these transitions now and get ourselves set up for success so that we can create the atmosphere and the product and the community development and all that stuff we talked about today that we want to, because we've already done it now and we only have 30 people that we're allowed to have in. So if we can have double that or triple that and still have that same vibe, that's what we want. That's what we've tried to create. And now that we're moving toward kind of a normalcy again, we've said that all day, but that's where we're aiming. That's what we're kind of going toward. We can't wait for it all to be over so that we can be the business that we like wrote down in the business plan when we first started this. Like, that's what we want. The first sheet of paper that said like, this is what we're going to build. That's what we want to be at. And we're almost there. So we're so excited.
That's awesome, man. this has been really cool, man, to hear the story and to hear what you guys have achieved in such a short amount of time. And it looks like there's a bunch of exciting shit to come up hopefully in the coming months. So congrats on everything. It's very impressive. Once again, I've never seen anything like this as far as the speed. So good for you. I'm glad that it's working. I'm glad the community loves it. I'm glad that you guys just keep growing and keep building it out. So it's fantastic. I'm really glad we got this down, bro. So thank you for your time. This has been really, really cool, bro.
No, thank you, man. This has been great. I've been chomping at the bit to say hey to you, and it was cool to finally connect and enjoy a beer. And
yeah,
to be honest, it's nice to be away from the brewery. As much as I love what I do, I've been there. I spent a lot of time in that building, so it's nice to be home and relaxing and not. I gotta wake up tomorrow at 6 a.m. and head down to Toronto for Steam Whistle Beer Fest. So I gotta say I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty stoked. Our first official beer festival as a brewery, which is really cool, and it's one of the biggest ones here. So we're so.
Yeah, and really highly regarded festival too.
It's gonna be piss and rain. And I said to a buddy of mine that's coming to help, I think it's gonna make it just wilder. I think it's just gonna be everybody ready to go and fuck the rain. Who cares? Let's get wet and drink beer.
Yep, exactly right, bro. Oh, it's amazing. You're gonna love it. I'm keen to hear about it. I just want to take the the thumbnail. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this for the YouTube thumbnail. Do you want to hold up a couple of the cans and stuff?
Sure.
I'm going to hold up a couple with one hand, but make sure we're showing off these products here. There we go. Yeah, this way. All right.
Yeah.
Ready?
I always got to learn. I get fucking so much flack from the wife from product placement.
There you go. You make sure it's in there. Okay, you ready? Gorgeous. Boom. All right, stick around. I'm going to wrap this up. Stick around once I'll finish up the recording, and we'll say goodbye after the
absolutely
afterwards. But once again, brother, thank you so much for hanging out. Genuine pleasure, man. Where can everybody?
To talk to you.
Yeah, likewise, dude. Seriously, where can everybody find Turkey Shoot online?
Turkey Shoot, we can be found at turkeyshootbrewingco.com, Instagram, all the same. If you're coming to visit, we're in Keswick, Georgina, 482 the Queensway. It's just me, Jacqueline, and my dog, Judy. And
love it.
You will be greeted by her and a toy. So we'll see you then.
You can never, ever go wrong when there's a dog in the brewery. It's true.
Yeah, we got a craft dog. Yeah. You always got to have a craft animal.
I love it. That's awesome, bro. So, guys, make sure you go check them out. This stuff is fantastic. Everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast. Check out the long-form audio so you can hear attractive gentlemen like Uncle Kyle right here talk about craft beer. We drop the podcast every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Hit us up Spotify, Apple Podcast. Get that 5-star rating, man. Helps us get in the algorithms. You know the vibes. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Cheers.